Hey guys, Wellness Wednesday. A little bit behind time because I had a computer that completely went crazy and froze and I couldn't do anything. But nevertheless, I am here. It is Wellness Wednesday, and today I just want to talk about bloating. We're going to have a conversation around bloating, the causes of bloating. You know, if you're struggling with bloating, some of the reasons that you could be experiencing this and what needs to be addressed to start to fix your bloating. It's definitely a big one for a lot of people, and it's not usually in isolation. Bloating will usually go with other digestive issues. Sometimes it can also be related to PMS, but what I really want to talk about is just why we get bloating, the underlying drivers of it, some of the misconceptions that are around bloating, and what we can do about it. Because it's one of the big issues, some of the drivers as one of the big issues when it comes to addressing our gut, addressing our health, and it's a real telltale symptom that you have a few things going on. So I think if you are experiencing bloating, the first thing to ask yourself is, when is the bloating? When am I experiencing it? When am I getting it? Am I getting it after each meal, straight away? Am I getting it several hours after each meal? What foods am I eating that are actually connected to the bloating? So keeping a food diary is a really good way to start this, so you can start to join the dots together. And I know it can be really uncomfortable and really painful for a lot of people. It can just be downright embarrassing if you've got a lot of big gut issues going on. The bloating can be quite severe. Some people will look pregnant. It can be painful. It can be connected with gas. It can be connected with reflux, all those types of things. So I think the first thing is really just becoming more aware, bringing more awareness into what's going on with your body and when. And this is one of the first things I'll do with people when they come and work with me is I'm like, okay, well, keep a food diary for yourself, and start to notice what foods, when am I eating, what am I eating, when are those symptoms occurring, and you can start to join the dots. You're not always going to get correct correlation with food, because if the damage has already been done, it could be anything, and it's not going to necessarily mean the food is the solution. It's just the food is causing that issue at the time because the digestion is not in a good state. Yeah. So the aim is to not just remove the foods, and I hear people do this, particularly with things like FODMAP. So go have a FODMAP, eat a FODMAP diet, which is a particular type of carbohydrate that can affect a lot of people, particularly with symptoms like bloating. But the bit that gets missed with mainstream medicals, you know, I've heard of doctors and things putting people on FODMAP diets, but they don't give them any guidance. They don't say, well, we've got to do it for a certain period of time and then ease it off, and they don't do the work around it, like the real foundations to do the healing work, so that then that's not the end game. It's like, yeah, people do get benefits from going on a FODMAP diet, particularly with symptoms like bloating, but it's not a solution. We don't want to be so restricted for the rest of our lives that we can't have onion and garlic and, you know, all those foods that have FODMAPs in it, apples. There's a whole list. So first of all, get clear on where you're at. When are your symptoms. You might want to get an app and start tracking your symptoms with bloating. Same with any other type of digestive symptoms, by the way. Just one moment, just sort myself out. And then I'm just going to talk about. Now I've got a little diagram here, and it's not that well seen. It's a little shiny. But hang on, because we're doing this on the phone, not on the computer, it's a little different. So one of the big drivers when it comes to bloating is low stomach acid, and this comes down to any digestive symptom really, and this is the first thing that I'll always go, let's address this before we do any other gut work. We've got to start getting the stomach acid right. And the reason for this is because the impact this has on the rest of our digestion is huge. So we have stomach acid, it's a mix of hydrochloric acid and other digestive enzymes to break, and juices and gastric juices to break our food down. Really unravel proteins. Proteins are like this tight ball of wool. They need to be unraveled and then chopped into small pieces. And the unraveling and the mushing of the food, like start to break things down, but they're not to the point where they can go into the bloodstream. Just break them down enough so we can break them down more in our stomach, in our small intestine. That's the role of our stomach acid. It's also there to protect us from pathogens from the outside world. Our intestinal tract is actually the outside of our body. We are one long tube, inside out. So from your mouth to anus, it's actually the outside, of your body, technically, right? It feels like the inside, but it's not, because it's this protective, it's our first line of defense, right? As soon as something hits our mouth, it's our first line of defense. So we have saliva, we chew our food. That saliva and that chewing action, actually, even the smell of food, the thinking of food, encourages our saliva to make, then we start to make more, increase our stomach acid, getting ready to eat food. Once food enters our stomach, we then will start to release enzymes and things in our small intestine, bile from the gallbladder to emulsify fats. And this is all to break our food down so we can absorb it. So if the stomach acid isn't right and we don't have enough, and by the way, our stomach acid is about a pH of about 2, around 2, so very acidic, right? It's there to break food down. If we don't have that right, we're not going to be releasing enzymes, we're not going to be breaking down our food, and then there's this vicious cycle that happens. And so with the stomach acid, this bloating is one of the things that can be the drivers of bloating is low stomach acid, as with a lot of other digestive issues, okay? And so we don't make enough hydrochloric acid, so we're not breaking our food down properly. Low stomach acid, so the combined are not making enough hydrochloric acid, but not also then making enough stomach acid, so the combination of things. We then don't absorb our nutrients because we then don't release enzymes, release bile, break our food down. And then this poor nutrient absorption, because we need nutrients to make hydrochloric acid, is lacking, and there's this vicious cycle that happens, okay? So some of the things that can cause this process is high sugar diets, low zinc, age, so your stomach acid will naturally reduce in age, medications, infections, something else I put there that I can't read because my writing is messy, and eating too fast. I'll come back to that one. I don't know what that point is. I really try and write neat, but it's just not my thing, hey? So all of those things, low zinc in particular, and a lot of people are very, very, very low in zinc. And so you need zinc to make good stomach acid, okay? And so if you're not making enough stomach acid, what then happens is you have maldigested food, low stomach acid. You don't have carbohydrates that are broken down properly. It goes into our small intestine. And really what happens is then often bacteria will move upstream from further down the creek, and it will eat these carbohydrates that haven't been absorbed properly because we haven't absorbed them, and they're sitting there and they can start to sort of ferment and fester, and the bacteria has a bit of a party. Bacteria can make a gas. The gas will then push back up through the stomach, and you'll either get reflux or you'll bloat. So the gas will be straight, direct, or it can push back up and people will get reflux. So that's one of the things, and it's like, okay, are you bloating straight away after you eat, or are you bloating several hours later? Because that can tell me what might be going on Is it sort of post-digesting? It could be a combination of leaky gut, you're not absorbing your nutrients, which is this, and then you're not making enough stomach acid, and then your also your balance of bacteria could be out. And if it's further down the track, it could also be that. And it could also be food intolerances. So there's a combination of things that affect this. But this stomach acid is actually, I'm going to cross that out. It's the cycle of digestion, really, starts with this. It starts with stomach acid. So we've got to get that right. And there's a couple of things you can do, and I talk about this all the time, to really start to improve your stomach acid. First of all, you've got to address nutritional deficiencies. So you need to go and get tested. You need to go, okay, what other minerals and vitamins am I missing that are going to affect my absorption of my food? Because everyone makes the argument. I often hear people say, oh, well, you know, I eat enough fruit and vegetables. Yeah, but are you absorbing it? Maybe you're not absorbing it. And so it can be one thing to not eat enough, another thing to eat enough, and then another thing to go, actually, I'm not absorbing what I need. I'm not getting in what I need because my digestion is poor. So there's this vicious cycle that then happens. And I'm not making enough stomach acid because I'm not getting the nutrients. So you've got to go get tested, or you need to make sure that you're getting support from someone to check your nutrient status and your symptoms and see what's going on. So that happens. Then after you checked your nutrient status, I then say you also start working on your diet, addressing the gut, and removing some of those big contenders that will always cause issues with gut when we gut healing, gluten being one, sugar being another, making sure you're getting in enough fruit and veg, making sure that you're absorbing the foods that you're eating, and so increasing your stomach acid. And I do this through digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes also include hydrochloric acid. It's called betaine hydrochloride for a lot of the time, or other herbs and nutrients, like to break down your food. That's a little helping hand. There's also herbs in there like gentian, which can increase your stomach acid naturally, increase the production of your hydrochloric acid. Eating fermented foods, sauerkraut, kimchi, yogurt. If you don't have dairy, have coconut yogurt. Tempeh, like eating lots of fermented foods in your diet. They're going to support you, are going to help the bacteria balance, and that also increases stomach acid production. And then including things like lemon and warm water, apple cider vinegar, ginger, bitter, things like bitter. For example, coffee is actually a bitter food if drunken black. A lot of people don't drink it black, so it's therefore not a bitter food. Dandelion root tea, lots of different herbs and spices in your cooking, but the ginger and the lemon can be a massive one, and having some lemon and warm water 20 minutes before you eat is a really good one. So there's lots of different things you can do, but I just want you to understand that this is the big driver of low stomach acid, of bloating. And so if you're bloating, it's like we need to address your gut, need to address what you're eating, need to address the way you're absorbing nutrients, need to address the micronutrient deficiencies. Stress is the other thing that can really affect it. The other thing that can cause low stomach acid is bacteria, infections. And that includes anything. There's a parasite that can live in your stomach called Helicobacter pylori. That will naturally lower, so make it less acidic. It technically could be higher, but it will reduce your stomach acid production. This could be a problem. Zinc is one of the biggest things that you need to make stomach acid. And I just see so many people low in zinc. I'd hardly ever see someone that has good zinc levels. Never. And zinc is just so important. So that needs to be addressed. So what else? Stress can also cause it. Stress really does a few different things. Cortisol will degrade the lining of your gut, so you won't absorb your nutrients as well. It actually will lower your stomach acid production. Often when when we're in a stressed state, we're not resting and digesting. We're in a sympathetic nervous system fight or flight, and it's not a priority for us. So really slowing down, breathing, like doing a and breathing out is going to stimulate that vagal nerve, so the main nerve that goes from your stomach up to your brain, to help you relax and calm your nervous system down before you eat. Taking in a few deep breaths, being present with your food, chewing your food. Sounds really simple and obvious, right? But a lot of the time bloating could also be from not actually chewing your food and just going at a ridiculously fast pace. And then we're not absorbing our nutrients either. And our stomach doesn't have teeth. There's not little men in our teeth. And even though it's really acidic, like, we still need to chew our food and make it easier for us. Go and try 30 chews per mouthful. It takes you a lot longer to eat your meal. You'll also find you'll be a lot fuller. Something to remind yourself of. Also remind myself, like, it's easy to forget. We can just inhale and not really be present with our food and not really taste it and not really feel it, like not really just enjoy it. And it makes a big difference. So I hope that has helped and give you some insight into some of the things of bloating. I know it can be very frustrating if you're bloating. It can be painful. And if you've got any questions, please comment below, please. And I'll just DM me and I'll write back to you. Or please like it and share it with anyone that you think needs this info. And I'll see you guys next week. Ciao.